Welcome back to Beyond Procurement by Powerweave, the podcast show where we look beyond purchase orders and price tables to explore how procurement drives strategy, resilience, and a lot more. Today, we are going to speak about a topic that doesn't really get enough attention or airtime in our profession, but is extremely important. So, today we are going to speak about the real hurdles women face in building procurement and supply chain careers. And I, I genuinely can't think of a better person to have this conversation other than Dr. Mona Golshan Sorour, who's the Deputy General Manager of Procurement and Supply Chain at Burjeel Holdings, one of the largest healthcare groups in UAE. Before Burjeel, she led procurement at Aster DM Healthcare. She holds a Six Sigma Black Belt, a doctorate in strategy, and most recently, she published an amazing book called "Call Me the B Word," a book that speaks about and argues the various traits society labels as difficult in women, but are actually the fundamental requirements for leading large scale transformations. So that's we are definitely going to briefly touch upon that as well. And thanks to this amazing career and overall, journey that you had, Dr. Mona. Welcome to Beyond Procurement.
Thank you so much, Deepak. I'm so excited also to be here. And it was a quite interesting journey for me too, as I was both side of the table in during my career. And my journey overall was not about learning the rules. In fact, it was about how to break the rules to have a real transformation. And for the women, this journey a bit become more challenging due to multiple factors, which we will discuss about it and elaborate on the same thing. But thank you so much to have me.
Great. So, Dr. Mona, let's dive into the first one and the most relevant one, I would say, at this point of time is you have built an amazing career, procurement leadership career across two major healthcare organizations in the UAE. When you look at the profession today,
Mm.
what are the real structural barriers women face in getting into and staying in procurement and supply chain leadership roles?
It's a very good question, Deepak, because I was also reading one study on the same thing, which is called self promotion gap. Most of the women, they try to apply for a role when they feel they are 100% qualified. But for men, when they are 60% feel they are qualified, they apply for it and they feel they are ready for that role. So that hiccup or that setback, which women sometimes feel they are not good enough yet to take that position, that is something we still feel in the industry. And especially when it comes to procurement, because procurement is more of the back office. It's a strategic sourcing. They'll support the systems between the managing the vendor, the stakeholders, and work closely also with the finance because it's all about savings, about is providing the best service to the entities and the vertical. So they're always in the back. So that visibility for them also quite a challenge to be seen and then to grow during this process. And when it comes to numbers, when it comes to analysis, women are more hesitant. I've heard many times that they say it's not much of women think. That women think concept sometimes even stuck with us. Maybe it's really not for us. But I always say during the journey, you don't need to always follow the rule because you were not fit in this direction or no one was there before to experiment it or open the door for the rest of the women. But it's about breaking it because then the transformation happens. I've been myself also in a places to be the first or only the women, not because I want to say, yes, Mona is the only one there, but it's about to open the door that tomorrow anybody else want to be there or even for the leadership. Yes, we can have a women in that position. So it's from both sides, how much we trust our abilities and how much the organization does support us to elevate in that level.
So, if I'm trying to understand this correctly,
Mm.
is it a bias that women feel themselves, or is it a perception bias that is being created by people in the organizations? The reason I'm asking this is
Mm-hmm.
because you mentioned numbers, and my mom, she was a working person. She did an amazing job. She used to work in a bank. She did an amazing job there, and all the finances at home as well. And all these are numbers, and numbers
True.
that actually impact the future sustenance and everything. So,
Mm.
you know, she never had that perception. She was extremely good with finances. So hence
Mm.
that question.
So it's very interesting because it's also depends, you know, on the organization and the culture and how women look at themselves. When I say sometimes they don't have the confidence, because, as per studies, 75% of women in executives, they suffer from imposter syndrome, which men will not be. And it is not like women, they don't have the confidence. We need to ask why they feel it that way. And there we give them the space to be. And there are many factors come to that. There are women that they are very confident, they know they can do it. But let us be honest about this fact too, that how many women in the leadership or in finance has to be, or at least when I deal with it, the percentage was very minimal. And the majority of the higher role with this more of the analytics was covered, or it has been, filled with male. Because even when you look at these hirings or in HR, I mean, the males were being tapped more as in hunting that for such positions. I don't know why, because we did not ask this question yet. Why? And once we look at it, it provides that environment that we push them to that level, that you need to be visible. You can do it. Just because there was some frame or there was an kind of an process before which they didn't have much of the visibility is not. And it's a great thing which you mentioned that your mom will be a role model for many women to see that yes, it can be done. And how many women in that position will be, or they will do it, to just open the door for rest of the women that yes, it is possible, because women will gradually give up. I mean, many of the women, especially after they become mother, they leave even their jobs because of the hassle or the challenge they will have to manage the work and the home. But there are again women which they don't see it as a challenge but an opportunity, because women are natural multitaskers. They say, I had a boss, he always say women make a better manager because they're better in multitasking. So that belief in themselves also will be there. And the support, because it's something with the women which, as I said, based on that the study of imposter system syndrome, we always think that we are not good enough. We will have that question on back of our head, but how to help it to come over, and why we fall in that situation to feel this way is also important, which help the women to grow gradually.
So, adding to this bias or the imposter syndrome, when you start applying or when you want a particular opportunity or role, now that's one
Mm,
phase. Once you get into the role, that's another
mm,
phase. Once you get
true.
into it, does this change? Does this get reduced? Does this get increased due to peer pressure or perceptions? I mean, what has your experience been?
I should not generalize that it can be the same for every woman. In general will be more challenging because women in the higher position or very lower percentage when they come to growth, even to move from one place to another and being promoted, they always have this regular, that tension with their male colleague that, they will prefer the man to be more in a promotional stage than the female. And when they are there, the expectation is more, because I've observed that with some of my colleagues, even myself, when we go as a woman to that position, which is either no one was there or we got in a position which is more male dominant, it will be like if some failure comes, it will be that women cannot do it, and that pressure somehow make us to ensure we are giving our best. So this is one pressure which mainly the women might feel, that, you know, they might be later questioned as on the entire gender being the question mark if they can manage it. And if they are doing it, and they always, I've seen when the women are leadership, they are the best when they come to managing to that level. And there is always a tension and dilemma. They say that when there is a nice woman cannot be a good leader, but the woman who is a good leader, she's not always nice because she easily get tagged, you know, that she's very aggressive, she's very pushy, she's bossy. But it will not be for the male. I mean, there are biases also exist, how much we want to ignore it. But there are things. If I'm strict with some kind of, you know, the authority which I have, I will be labeled many. But for men, they don't have that. They might, you know, it pass for them much more easier compared to the woman, because there are expectations for females as well, right? The way they should talk, the way they should look, what they should say. And once you break that, there is a question in that.
Yeah. I mean, to just term this, I mean, there's a term that a lot of leadership circles use, which is called the credibility tax, where
True.
women have to prove yourself in ways your peers, male peers, simply don't. Has that been your experience in procurement? If I mean, if yes, could you share some
Yes.
examples or scenarios?
Yes. I mean, the credibility tax, I always, you know, felt it was one kind of high interest loan was given to women just to be in that room. you
I
know?
shouldn't laugh, but I like the way you just
I
explained it.
always see it that way, that we need constantly to just push it and just put the chair to be there. I mean, we need to move from uh, being available in the room to owning that building practically. But this challenge is there. Yes. I mean, I've been also myself in the places which I might be the only one there, and there will be the questions as well. You know, I mean, they prefer a male kind of an addition there than the woman. But this is what we take it as an not a challenge but opportunity. Because gradually, but if you look at it through the process, gradually we are having a progress. So it is, you know, small, it's going small, but it's still there. And that's important that we still say we have a place. And I was reading one research that it was saying like below 20% of the women who are in the CEO position or in a high level position. And unfortunately, most of these percentage cover either they are the founders or it is, you know, heredited from their, you know, fathers or more, I mean, the family kind of a thing was. So it was not through the corporate growth or, stepwise to reach there. But I can see that kind of an percentage is improving and there are progress happening. It's not an easy work. It's a hard journey, but I'm sure we will reach there.
Definitely. And I mean, one of the points that you touched, and you have mentioned that in your book as well, is in certain professions like procurement and supply chain, you need to take some tough decisions. You need to have some tough conversations with suppliers, with vendors, with the business teams. Like you rightly said, these may be labeled as either negatively in some cases, specifically when a woman displays. How do you tackle with that mindset? How do you approach it?
It's a very good question. If I want to take it as an personally as me to reply to it, I crossed that stage of being really worried to be called something or be judged or tagged because you know you cannot be in everyone's good. And as I said initially, that tension or that challenge of a nice woman and aggressive woman, it will be always there because it's not the organizations or the team which will be majority of the male. They'll not seen the female instructing something to be done. But I've seen once you establish a brand as on yourself and you are confident enough and you manage it well, because in the end, the work will speak. You will have an interaction, how you manage it. and how you'll not be only carried away because, or worried that you're going to be called 1, 2, 3. Because in the end of the day, it's about result. What is you bringing to the table? You'll not be asked if someone like you or not like you, because we are working all about numbers. Managing the vendors and stakeholders very critical. It's part of that strategy in that strategic sourcing itself, and in the leadership as well, because you need to have all this. You will have more of cross-functional engagement. How you manage your vendors, because vendors also the extension of your organization. You might need them for help, favor, a crisis, some emergency. So maintaining that is very important. Being rough or being firm, it can be taken as aggressive, but it's important how you position it, how you take it, how you manage it. So this is, I feel, the way has to be more of look at it in that way. Because I always say, hard work doesn't have that much voice. Yeah, especially when you are a female, it doesn't have that much voice. But then about how you manage, how you bring the impact, and how you transforming it, it make it completely a different journey for you.
Nicely put, Mona. So, as of as a slightly follow up to that question,
Mm,
in leadership meetings or maybe strategic meetings,
mm.
have you ever experienced moments when your authority or your knowledge or your insights were questioned because specifically of a gender, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, it happens. I mean, usually when you are a female, you get underestimated also. And I always take it as a power of being underestimated, because when they think you might not have that knowledge, or you might not be knowing as much they know, you will have an upper hand, because then once you present it and when you speak, people will be like there is a moment of silence initially in that place. And this underestimation can be from both sides, not only from, internally when you are sitting with the leadership, even with your vendors. I was talking with one of the friend, and she was like, I got a call from a company and they said that I would like to talk with your manager. And she said, I'm the manager. He said, there is no, I want with your manager. He said, I'm the one running this place. So, I mean, there are situations like this. It's quite, so we were laughing about it, but they consider it should be more of the male in authority. But then when you have a woman, it's sometimes surprised because they underestimate it as well. So it can be an opportunity for us to showcase what exactly we are capable of. So I always take it positive in other way.
And the feeling of that sweet victory when you make that statement, I'm sure that's worth remembering. Yes, I
True,
run this
true.
place.
True. I mean, it's quite to become a shock later, and then then they later when they come for the next meeting, they know what is the expected thing. But at first, yes, it gets very interesting.
Great. So another interesting concept that while I was reading
Mm,
about multiple things around your book,
yeah.
so a lot of, and that's true for a lot of professionals, male, female, that you need a mentor to guide you throughout your career at regular
True.
points for you to
Yeah.
give clarity on where you want to go.
Mm,
There's another argument that's being appearing at multiple circles, is that what women actually need is more than a mentor, but a sponsor, somebody who
mm.
speaks for them, advocates for them in the rooms they are not in. From your experience, is that something that actually helps? Is that really a thing that has helped you or anybody
Mm.
you know?
It is. It's a very interesting discussion, which I feel it can be a separate podcast for it itself. We can have a discussion on that, because you need a mentor, because you need to talk with someone to guide you, advise you, direct you to the place. And you need also a sponsor to talk about you. Yeah. But I felt it's more been, over mentor and under sponsor, because mentorship, how important it is to shape you and guide you in a direction, but a sponsorship will take your hand and say, okay, you now go through the ladder, go to do this work or get engaged with this. So on those meetings which is you are not there, and mainly the leaders which sit together, and there is an interesting project comes, there is a challenge comes, there is an opportunity comes, and when the manager say, I can, Mona can do it, and it gives you the visibility, and your name comes also there, that if something is required to be managed, she will be doing it. So this is very important, I feel. It should be more promoted as a sponsorship, because as I mentioned earlier, if hard work is quite silent, it doesn't have much voice. So to be heard as well, the sponsorship plays a very important role. There were projects which they it was managed by somebody else, and then it was not going that well, and it came to my table that you can, she can do it, so let her close it. So these are the privileges which you'll get. Okay, so there is a trust, and there is sponsoring that, okay, she can do it, let us engage it. And to be taking it from the male colleague to come to the female and closing it, it's kind of, and you take it as a victory that women can do it better, women can finish it actually when it comes to that. So we advocate and just take the victory, because coming from the team which we have less female, it gives them also the courage that we can do it, even if it is, very challenging situation. And so it doesn't matter of the gender to come in a question, that it is required much of time, because when we go home, we always suffer from that invisible second shift, right? And mainly the organization will feel, okay, might be so much, she cannot manage it, but how we just tackle it is also shows the power of the leadership we carry in that. So I always look at it in that level.
Great. And that's a great feeling when somebody speaks about you in a
True.
positive manner and shows the confidence specifically in a room where you are not present in. I mean, that's a great
True.
feeling. Nothing replaces that.
Exactly. Exactly. It's kind of a trust you feel that, they have in you. And sometimes you might feel like, I really can do it, because sometimes the project is too big and usually you are not engaged in that. And when the first time it comes to you to do, and you take it at, yes, I mean, this is a great opportunity to work and engage the team and then to deliver it. It's, as you say, it's very much motivational at the same time for us.
So the perception bias, then there's the imposter syndrome. I mean, these two, I mean, quite prominent, if I would say, and
Mhm.
related to that, because now we are speaking at an individual level. If
Yeah.
I have to speak at an organizational level, if you were advising a CEO or a CHR or
Mhm.
maybe a CPO
Mhm.
who genuinely wants to increase women's representation in procurement leadership, what would you tell them to fix first? Recommendations, structural changes. What are some key pointers that can actually make a difference?
So it's great to have more females in the team. But why? I've seen many organizations, they will have a lot of activity for women just to, you know, tick box their KPIs as an HR, but there really no impact. You will have more of that females, give them, place and position in the team. So what's next? Usually there is no clarity in their mm work journey. This is what even myself experienced, that when we are there, what's next for us? If there is a requirement to skill up rather than, okay, she doesn't know this and that, let us, equip her with this kind of training to be more efficient. So to take more responsibility in that way, in a better way to say. Are those going to happen? Because just increasing the number of the female in your team for the sake of, we are more female dominant and we are empowering the women and celebrate us once in a year and the next day we go to our desk. I mean, it happens, but there are not, um, that touchable impact to see in the level. The struggle is the same. So adding more women to increase the struggle, of course, is not advisable. But if there is a plan for it, that that a sponsorship which we are talking, of course, mentorship should be there, because we need to talk really to understand this. To be guided, there are situations which is require more strategic mind or more experience to share with you. I might not have that much of experience for sure, my manager has, or my mentor it is having, but to get his insight is also important. But to take my name in that to say she can do is a different level of support which we expecting in that. If there is a plan and what is the next in the journey of the women in the team is clear, it's a great thing to have. But if it's not, it is just another, KPI ticking that, okay, this is done. But as an aesthetic way of it. But there is no change or no progress. And tomorrow you might see people resigning. And then you might, hire men instead of that. So how we are going to direct it is also important. How we are planning for it is also important. So this is how I look at it in that way. That it should be with a purpose with it, with a plan for it. I remember that one of the managers also was saying, I would like to have women in my team. I support them so much. They can work from home as well. And if there is situation, I won't mind if they want to work 3 4 months from home. I mean, it's nice to see the support, but there's a saying, say, out of sight, out of mind. I mean, they will not learn to be the leaders. They will not be engaged in those meetings in person to just grow in that thing. So that's why I'm saying that the direction for having more female in the team is also very important.
That's a very valid point, and I mean the beauty of what we are discussing is this doesn't really get discussed more often, and not just in
True,
procurement. This is true for any other profession for that case, right?
true.
The sensitization throughout the organization as a culture,
Yes.
knowingly and unknowingly, you partake or you do certain things which may encourage, or if not encourage, may not even
Mm,
discourage such kind of behaviors.
true.
Nobody may have an ill intent, but sometimes it happens because of whatever reasons, right? You are not aware of those.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like you rightly said, it's more than those basic awareness or one day celebration campaigns. It's something that people should be able to imbibe in a day to day culture. They should actively work towards it. Then it has an impact that it may not change overnight, but yes, maybe 6 months down the line, even if the needle moves by 5%, that's a huge difference.
Exactly. I mean, you touch a very interesting word, culture. I mean, I've seen places that culture is not developed in the level to have even the respect or to know how to speak with a woman. I've gone through that experience that they don't know even how to approach or how to speak or how to manage. I always say we had a training. I remember in one of the organization was for women elevate. And I used to ask always, even in that classes, why women elevate? We don't have any training for men to handle empowered women, but we want to elevate women. But why?
Yes, I
and
mean,
and and we always say women leadership. Why? I mean, the leadership is a leadership. It doesn't have a gender. But when it comes to female, we ensure we emphasize it's a female leadership. It's a women program. And that's wrong. I mean, we need to start to engagement that how important, to have that balance as well. And how they need to manage the thing. Because I've seen sometimes it comes as a threat. I've been even been accused of being too ambitious. I was like, why not? Just because I'm a woman and I dream big, I want to be. I can be. So it should not be in that level.
so yeah, that I think the like you rightly said, the sensitization or the training to the other people would
Yes,
have more impact rather than just women
true.
elevate. It's like how you create an environment that you don't even feel like having those conversations. It's like people should naturally be there. It's like
Exactly. And
you
and
have a colleague
sometimes we
who's trying to
have
do a job.
true, and sometimes we have a main comment talk for us. And I'm like, why? I mean, there should be more of women come to talk about their journey and the challenge. So let the men have a separate training that how to make the environment and the organization more friendly for the women with the opportunity to grow. And we don't look at them as a threat. We don't call them ambitious. We don't call them tough, or they are very bossy, or they are very difficult. It's the same thing. I mean, if you were in our place, you would the same, do the same action which we will be taking. So let it be behave equally in that manner.
And I mean, this is a very interesting question that just popped to my mind is I am sure you must have discussed this with other men and women. What has the what did you experience? What was the response? How did they pursue this discussion? Did they agree to it? Did they have different point of view? I mean, and I'm very keen to know about the women point of view here.
About the topic of having more men in the thing. I
Uh,
highlighted in the training event, but they will say, yes, it's very interesting topic. And that's it. There is no
uh,
further progress.
No, no, even the other part where this perception bias, where,
Mm,
because, as men, there are certain things you feel naturally. And as women, like you said, you have to try and give your 100% as a bias that are you even qualified for a certain role, which you started with.
true.
Uh, do they agree with it? Do they hate it? I mean, I'm just trying to understand different women's point of view here.
Deepak, I feel as a woman, I never look for validation. And this is what usually uh, kind of stop us from the growing. For me, the advantage as a person was like my dad was in Navy and my mom is a teacher. So the level of discipline I grow was such a way,
Nice.
the work to get in the corporate was easier. But it's not the same journey for the women. It's we are not coming from the same background. But how much we believe ourselves and how much we women support each other also to grow, it's very important. It will not be taken by everyone positively, and it will not be taken. It's natural. It's fine. It's okay. I mean, not everyone should be agreeing with your opinion. They can have the opinion, but how we can put all this together to gradually direct it in the right way, to hear also from them. The guy might say, no, women cannot go to this because they have other. I've been also in the places which they told me women are mainly fit for kitchen because they are in the end of the day they'll end up there. Why they want to be in the offices? And I was mentioning statistically, I mean, male are a better chef. I mean, if you see most of the restaurant, it's men. So it
It's
doesn't
men.
mean that maybe they can do it there better than us being in the kitchen. We can change the place. But it's important to hear the opposite opinion. You don't need everyone agree with you. So when you have an opposite or against or another opinion against you, it helps to think better. If everything say yes is fine, but someone says no because one, two, three, you will look in different direction too. Okay, maybe some point is valid. No, I mean, as a man, you will never be in an interview to be asked, okay, are you planning to have a baby? You will be
Yeah.
never asked how many children you planning to have. We will go through that. Or you will not be, okay, are you planning to, I mean, a lot of challenges which will be questioned in an interview. If your husband is working, if, you will never have these questions. So there are things there is no argue about it, which require to be changed, to be developed. And there are some opinions can look into it that how we can evolve it in a better way for the women to have opportunity to grow. So this is how I feel it will have the balance to take it in a better direction. As you say, it's not an overnight thing. It's a process, and a baby step also help it. Small progress also is a victory, we say.
And that's an interesting point that you mentioned. There are some real life challenges that will come through. I mean, there will be certain
Yeah.
I mean, depending on which part of the world you are, which part
True.
of the country you are for that matter,
Yes.
whether it's a city or a town, and there are certain things that are, I mean, the culture works in a certain way. So, the companies do have to factor that in. So, unfortunately, it's not
True.
a clear answer that way as well. But yes, even if you are being sensitized, it's, certain things can definitely be avoided or maybe handled in a much better way. So, I
Yeah,
agree.
true. I agree with that. And Deepak, we are Asians. From any Asian country we come from, as we are more rooted in the culture and some kind of, um, societies which we live and come from. We are more deep into the families or some
Yes.
expectation, which the Western country is may not be even define or even factor for them. But for us, because of that culture, emotions, family, what is that female has to be, and kind of an expectation it is there from women, it's more difficult, frankly speaking. Though the challenge is globally, but I feel God bless the Asian women, they need to face more in that level.
The companies, because you operate in those geographies, you have to factor that. And I mean,
True, true.
the same globalization rule doesn't apply to all localities. Not and
I
when it
agree.
comes to India, not even the same country for us. We
True,
are a huge country, right? So,
true. I am, and India is a
uh,
great country, and I've seen very high education and literacy also with women, which is quite interesting to see about it. And I studied also in India, so it was
oh
very
wow,
interesting to see all that closely. Yes, it was a great journey and shaping the personality also for me in that level.
yeah, yeah. And uh, I am from Maharashtra in India, so I mean, our culture, we had, we have had some amazing women leaders in the past, and I'd like to boast about it, so I'm going to speak about it. I mean, like I said, my mom was a working mom. It inculcates a certain behavior which across different regions you are surprised to see it isn't available. So I can understand how that can happen throughout the globe as well. So
True.
I mean, absolutely. Coming back to the procurement part,
Yeah.
what what are some of the mistakes that you have seen women in procurement or supply chain make early in their career that can be avoided and help them grow easily? Any such
Hmm.
experience?
Yeah, I feel mainly when the women enter to that, especially in the procurement, they'll hesitate initially to take more responsibility, and they're always kept in the back office, more closely. And it gradually becomes some kind of an comfort space for them that, they will not explore more. But then that is the missed opportunity, I feel. It's very important to be bold, to have a voice. It's okay if to have an error. I always tell my team as well, talk, share. Even if you commit a murder, come and tell me. Because it's important to know, that trust I want them to have. Because till you don't know the problem, you cannot solve or help them. So that to be bold, to be brave, to talk, to have a voice, to take initiation to do. Don't scare. I mean, I know some people get worried that, if some issue or error happen, because in procurement the error will immediately reflect on this. So we should be very careful with it. But it's also important to give them the courage and that safety, the psychological safety for them, the environment that they can talk to you openly, share with you openly. I mean, we reach to some level that I know their personal challenges, so I know how I can help, how they can put that thing. And I always say, keep your personal baggage outside the door and come here with a different perspective, because this is your opportunity to grow, not only to learn, not only to be part of the organization, but have an impact. I always insist in the same thing that you are not just the employee to come punch in, punch out. As a woman, you should have an impact. You should add value. So that's how you stand differently. So this is what I always try to advise, to avoid this mistake of just let yourself be corner. It's okay. Have a voice.
And as a addition to that part, I want to ask you, let's say somebody wants to get into a leadership position.
Mm,
What are the top three traits or things they need to be master at so
mm.
they can not just survive but be successful at leadership and procurement?
It's a very good question, in fact. We always talk about broken supply chain, broken procurement, but we never discuss the broken leadership. Before we come to the processes and what all you need to know, I think the first important skill is the leadership. How a strategic leader you are, how agile leader you are, how resilient leader you are. Then it comes to number, because even how good you are with analytics, with the numbers, but you don't know how to manage it, how to take the action, how to elevate your team, how to be agile to, take the quick, right, and effective decision, it will still be a broken procurement. So I feel always the leadership, it comes first. And then you need to always skill up. I mean, I myself is a forever learning student. I'll try to learn each and everything, take the courses, learn from people, and I don't care their position or department they are, because they have always something to teach you. So always keep updated yourself, learn from this. And one more thing is, a negotiation plays a very important role. How you manage your vendors, how you manage your stakeholders, and the numbers, the opportunity you look at it, how you make the challenge and convert it to the opportunity to work. I always monitor one thing with the team or in the interviews I usually take, that how frequently they use the word problem. I mean, the more they use the problem, I mean, they will never come with the solution. I've seen people, they always said there is a challenge because you will look into the solution for it. Yeah. And I always mention, when there is something in the procurement or supply chain you don't know, it's always put one yet in the end of it. You don't know yet, because it will become a process of learning, understanding, and elevating. And it's a very interesting study, was from Professor Carol Dweck. She's a Stanford professor for psychology. That is that power of mindset. So that till when you have that yet there, so you are always, it's a process to be there. So I don't know yet, I cannot do it yet. So try to take it in a way that you will reach there, make it a process, because this leadership is not something which it has a manual or SOP. You will do one, two, three, and you jump in the leadership. But how much of the effort and impact during this process you're gonna do, it makes you a leader.
So that kind of brings to my last question.
Yes.
Let's say we, speak again in, I'm sure we'll speak before that, but let's say we speak in 2030,
Mm.
and what's that one shift that would tell you that the procurement profession has made a real progress on women in procurement leadership? Something that says that the bar has actually moved, or the perception has actually changed, or maybe there's less imposter syndrome in women, that they don't have needs things like women elevate, for example. So
Yeah.
what's the one thing that actually tells us that something has changed?
I think to have, I hope we catch up before that, Deepak, not to wait for
Def-
2030. But,
Definitely.
it will be progress when you have more women in panel. It's not like six men out of six, one is the woman. So then you have more women. It's a progress. And it should not be a news, because when you say there is a female panel, it's like an announcement, like a news, but it's a norm. It's fine. I mean, you have a women in that. It should not be some kind of an separate, like an elevate, that we have these things there. It should be there. I mean, they should have a place for them to be there. And as kind of a very normal, having more of the women, if it's 50-50 rather than 20-80, then it's a progress. And it's important for I've seen you guys been very much engaged to having more female empowering, and it's a great initiative. I really appreciate that in that. But then when the number increase, we can say there is a progress. As we always talk in number in procurement, like we
Yes,
should
yes.
say when the number is more, yes, there is a progress.
I hope we'll try to have something like men in procurement, maybe 2030.
That is a good, interesting topic. You need to work on it.
And now, I mean, so with that, I mean, I have pretty much covered everything I wanted to have in this discussion. I'm sure I'll come up with a lot more questions post this session, which, we can definitely have a chat about.
Sure.
Tell us something about your book, what it covers, what it means, what inspired you to write that.
Uh, well, when I was going through my journey and growing, I never had a mentor. I think my first post when I joined the company here in UAE was kind of a um, mentor for me to shape me and uh, bring the importance of how women are powerful and how you can achieve more, and it's not a limitation in that form. But I didn't have that in a level which now there are mentorship, sponsorship. I'm not familiar with that term, and I wish I had someone to take me through. And there are, when I was sitting to write the book, I was like, I don't want to make those fancy, words and things and that, but it's a very unfiltered truth. Even one of my friends, she was telling me, I'm still surprised you put so much of, very direct facts, which is still you were working. I was like, that's how someone has to voice it out to help, because no one said some of the challenges for me was the first time to go through it. And I was thinking, I hope I can be that mentor or that support for any other female wants to go through this journey. That what are the surprises might be there, but till then we hope that there is a change and progress that they might not need to go through that. But in case they face it, how to do it. And in the end of that chapter, there's a small exercise. So they can also, put their thoughts, they can pause, they can reflect to see how they can take it forward. So it's more of a personal journey with the help and also be the mentor, which many people might not have.
Got it. Great. Yeah, and my assumption is it's available on Amazon, any other platform.
As of now, it is in all Amazon. And India Amazon was the bestseller. I was quite impressed that
Yes,
India
yes.
moved
Akash told
faster.
me.
And it will be UAE and also planning on other platforms. In Kindle also available, those because many people do not want to have the hard copy, and so
Yes.
we thought of I will make it available there. But once it expand more, we'll surely. We were planning of the soft launch also for the book, but because of the situation, we thought we'll take it a bit slowly.
Great. So I hope a lot of more people do, read it. We certainly have a copy in our office at this point of time.
Sure.
So,
Deepak, you
you
need
know
to
what?
order as well, as a women support.
We will let Akash finish it. He's the first one. He's like, I'm getting it. Like, yes, we'll get more.
Perfect.
And I hope after watching this podcast, there's a jump. So I sincerely hope for that as well.
Hopefully.
So,
Yes.
final one, and before I end it, thank you once again for having this amazing, insightful conversation with us and for the audience, because, like we said, not enough coverage is given to it. So I hope this reaches more and more people, specifically women and men.
Thank you
Uh,
so much, actually, for the invitation, especially to deciding a very unfiltered person like me.
no, I think it's a topic which definitely needs unfiltered views, and
I agree.
maybe
And
some
maybe unmute at the same time, we can say to be unmute.
yes.
Yes.
And if procurement, women in procurement or people need to reach out to you, where they can reach out, is LinkedIn the best platform to reach out to you?
I'm available on LinkedIn. I connect with many people there. Any advice, any support, any as much as I can do for sure, I'll be available. I think LinkedIn is a very right platform for them to reach out to me.
Great, amazing. So, audience, you have the answer there. So that's all for today's session. Thank you, Mona. Thank you again for this amazing session. We hope to have more such unfiltered sessions in the future as well.
Hopefully, I look forward to that. Thank you so much for having me. This great discussion we had.